The night rests softly over the wide land of Egypt. A gentle breeze moves across the desert, touching the surface of the sand in slow, careful waves. The air feels warm, but not heavy. Somewhere in the distance, the quiet sound of the Nile drifts through the darkness, steady and calm, like a breath that never ends. Above, the sky stretches endlessly. The stars shine with a soft and steady light, as if they have been watching this land for longer than anyone can remember. Nothing feels rushed here. Nothing feels loud. Everything moves slowly. And beneath this stillness, beneath the layers of sand and stone, there are stories waiting in silence. Very old stories. Stories that were never fully told. As the first light of morning begins to rise, the darkness slowly fades. The horizon turns pale, then soft gold. The sun lifts itself gently into the sky, and its light touches the edges of something ancient. The pyramids. They appear slowly, as if waking from a long and quiet sleep. Their shapes are steady and unmoving. Their surfaces are worn but strong. Each stone holds the memory of hands that placed it there, one by one, with care and patience. There is no sound around them now, only stillness, and a quiet feeling that these structures are not just buildings, but something more, something that holds meaning deeper than what can be easily seen. At the base of one pyramid, there is a small opening. It does not stand out. It is not large or grand. It rests quietly among the stone, almost as if it does not wish to be noticed. For many years, this opening remained hidden, covered by dust, softened by time, blended into the surface of the pyramid itself. But slowly, carefully, it was found again, and when it was opened, the air inside moved for the first time in centuries. Cool air, still air, air that had been waiting. The passage inside is narrow, the walls are close, and the stone feels cool to the touch. The light from outside does not travel far, and with each step inward, the brightness fades into shadow. The silence grows deeper, not empty, but full, as if the space itself is holding something, something quiet, something patient. The floor beneath is smooth in some places, uneven in others. Small grains of sand rest in the corners, untouched for a very long time. Each step echoes softly, then fades, then disappears completely. Along the walls there are carvings. At first, they are difficult to see, but slowly, as the eyes adjust, shapes begin to form. Lines, symbols, figures. Some of them are simple, others are detailed and careful, showing people standing, walking, offering something to unseen figures. Birds with long wings, animals with still eyes, hands reaching forward. Each image feels deliberate. Nothing is random. Everything has been placed with thought. But the meaning is not easily understood. These carvings do not explain themselves. They do not speak directly. Instead, they remain quiet, as if they are waiting for someone who already knows their language. But that language has faded, and what remains are only the shapes, the outlines of something once clear. As the passage continues, it gently slopes downward. The air becomes cooler, heavier, not uncomfortable, but different. The outside world feels far away now. The sunlight no longer reaches this place. Only darkness remains, soft and complete. Then, slowly, the passage opens into a small chamber. The space is not large, but it feels important. The walls are smoother here, more carefully shaped, and in the center of the room there is something resting quietly, A stone object, simple, still. Its surface is polished, almost reflecting the faint light that enters from behind. Its shape is balanced, symmetrical, as if measured with great care. It does not look like a tool. It does not look like something used in daily life. It feels placed, as if it belongs exactly where it is. No markings explain it. No carvings point toward it. It exists on its own, silent, unmoving, and yet it draws attention in a quiet way, not demanding, just present. For many years, people have come to this chamber. They have looked at this object, measured it, studied its surface, tried to understand why it was made and why it was left here, but no clear answer has been found. Some believe it had a purpose that is now forgotten. Others feel it may have been symbolic, something meant to represent an idea rather than perform a task. But the truth remains still, unspoken. And so the object remains where it has always been, in the center of a quiet room, deep inside a pyramid, surrounded by silence. Outside, the day moves gently forward. The sun rises higher into the sky, warming the land. Along the Nile, the water reflects the light in soft, moving patterns. Small boats drift slowly. Their movement is steady and calm. Fishermen sit quietly watching the surface of the water, waiting without hurry. There is no rush in their actions. Everything follows a rhythm that feels natural, easy, unforced. Along the riverbank, homes made of mud bricks stand close together. Their walls are warm from the sun, but inside, the air remains cool. Shadows rest gently in the corners of each room. People move through their day with quiet focus, grinding grain between stone tools, pouring water into simple clay bowls, preparing food slowly, without noise or urgency. Children walk along the edge of the water. Their footsteps are soft, their voices low. Even their laughter feels gentle, carried lightly by the air. And yet, even here, among the ordinary moments of daily life, there are small traces of something unknown. A pendant worn around the neck, its shape unusual, not matching the pattern seen elsewhere. A symbol carved above a doorway, repeated in several homes, but never explained. A story told in a soft voice as evening falls. A story about places beneath the ground, about hidden rooms, about objects that should not be moved, not because they are dangerous, but because they are meant to remain where they are. These ideas are not written down clearly. They are not spoken loudly. They exist quietly, like a memory that is shared but never fully described, passed from one person to another over time, through silence as much as through words. As the sun begins to set, the light softens again. The heat of the day fades. A gentle coolness returns to the air. The sky changes slowly from gold to soft blue, then into deeper shades as evening approaches. The pyramids stand in the distance, unchanged, watching over the land, holding within them their quiet spaces, their hidden chambers, their unanswered questions. Inside the pyramid, the small chamber remains still. The stone object rests in its place. The carvings remain on the walls. Nothing moves, nothing shifts. Time feels different here, slower, almost still. And as the night returns once more, the world becomes quiet again. The wind softens. The river continues its slow, endless flow. The stars appear one by one above the ancient land. And deep within the stone, the mystery remains.
not waiting to be solved, not asking to be understood, simply existing, calm, silent, unchanged. The passage remains open, but the darkness inside holds more than what has been seen, more chambers, more carvings, more quiet objects resting in stillness, waiting not for discovery, but for presence. And somewhere deeper within, beyond the first chamber, another space begins, unseen, unexplored, resting in complete silence, where the air has not moved for centuries, where something else remains, still and waiting.
Beyond the first chamber, the passage continues in a quiet and patient way, as if it has nowhere urgent to go. The air grows cooler with each step, and the walls feel slightly closer, guiding the movement forward without force. There is no sound here except the soft echo of footsteps that quickly fade into nothing. The light from the entrance has long disappeared, and what remains is a dim glow, just enough to reveal the path ahead without disturbing the stillness. It feels as though this place has been resting for a very long time, untouched and undisturbed, holding its silence carefully. As the passage stretches deeper, the floor becomes smoother, almost polished by time itself. The stone beneath feels even and deliberate, as if shaped not only by tools, but by intention. Along the walls, the carvings begin to change. They are no longer simple figures or repeating patterns. Instead, they become more detailed, more layered, showing scenes that seem to hold quiet meaning. There are images of people seated in still positions, their hands resting gently on their knees, their faces calm and without expression. Around them are symbols that seem to move in a slow rhythm, repeating in a way that feels almost like breathing. The deeper one goes, the more the space begins to feel different. Not larger, not smaller, but heavier with presence. It is not a weight that presses down, but one that surrounds gently, like a quiet awareness. The air feels thick with time, as if every moment that has passed here still lingers in some quiet form. There is no movement, no sign of disturbance, only the steady feeling that this place has been left exactly as it was meant to be. Eventually, the passage opens once again, this time into a chamber that feels more complete. The ceiling is slightly higher, the walls more refined, and the space itself carries a calm balance. At the center of this chamber, there is no large object, no grand structure. Instead, there is an emptiness that feels intentional. The floor is clear, smooth, and carefully shaped, as if something once rested here, or perhaps something invisible still does. Around the edges of the room, there are markings unlike those seen before. These carvings are softer, less sharp, as if they were made with a lighter touch. They do not show clear figures or defined shapes. Instead, they flow gently across the stone, like lines drawn in sand by a quiet wind. Some of them curve inward, others stretch outward, and together they form patterns that feel continuous without a clear beginning or end. There is a stillness in this chamber that feels deeper than the others. It is not simply the absence of sound, but the presence of something calm and settled. Even the air seems to rest differently here, as if it has found a place where it does not need to move. Breathing feels slower, quieter, more in tune with the space itself. Along one side of the chamber, near the wall, there is a narrow opening. It is smaller than the main passage, almost hidden in shadow and easy to overlook. The edges are smooth, shaped with care, suggesting that it was made with purpose. This opening does not invite movement in an obvious way, but it exists quietly,
offering a path that continues even further into the unknown. If one were to pause here, to stand in the center of the chamber and remain still, there would be a feeling that is difficult to name, not a feeling of fear and not one of comfort alone, but something in between, a quiet awareness that this place holds something beyond what can be easily seen or understood. The carvings do not explain it, the space does not reveal it, it simply exists, gently and without urgency. Outside, far above, the day continues as it always does. The sun moves across the sky, casting soft shadows along the surface of the pyramids. The desert remains calm, its sands shifting slowly with the wind. The Nile continues its steady flow, reflecting the light in soft, moving patterns. Life carries on along its banks, simple and unhurried, untouched by the quiet mysteries hidden deep within the stone. Back inside, the chamber remains unchanged. The silence does not break. The air does not move. Time feels distant here, as if it has chosen not to pass in the same way. The narrow opening in the wall waits quietly, leading further inward, toward spaces that have not yet been seen. There is no sign to guide the way, no markings that clearly explain what lies ahead, only the quiet presence of the passage, continuing deeper into the pyramid, into places where the light has never reached and where the stillness has remained unbroken for centuries. And so the journey continues, slowly, gently, without urgency. The stone walls remain steady, the carvings fade softly into shadow, and beyond the narrow opening, another space begins to take form, hidden in darkness, resting in silence, holding yet another quiet mystery within its unmoving air.
The narrow opening in the chamber wall leads inward with a quiet sense of purpose, as though it has always known where it is going. The space is tighter now, and the air feels cooler, more still than before. Each step must be taken slowly, with care, as the stone walls gently guide the path forward. There is no sound except the faint brushing of movement against the air, and even that disappears almost as soon as it is made. The silence here is deeper, more complete, as if it has settled over this passage and chosen to remain. The walls along this narrow path are different. They are not covered in carvings like the chambers before. Instead, they are smooth, almost untouched, their surfaces calm and uninterrupted. It feels as though this part of the structure was meant to be simple, without distraction, allowing only the movement forward to exist. The floor beneath is even, carefully shaped and free of debris, as if no one has passed through here in a very long time. As the path continues, there is a gentle curve, barely noticeable, but enough to shift the direction. It creates a feeling of distance from everything that came before. The earlier chambers now feel far away, almost like a memory rather than a place. The air grows heavier in its stillness, and the sense of quiet becomes more present, more surrounding. After some time, the passage opens again, slowly revealing another room. This chamber is smaller than the others, but it carries a different kind of presence. The ceiling is lower, the walls closer, and yet the space feels complete in itself. It does not seem unfinished or hidden by accident. Instead, it feels intentional, as though it was created for a purpose that required privacy and stillness. At the center of the room, there is a low stone platform. It is simple in shape, rectangular and smooth across its surface. The edges are softened slightly, not worn by time, but shaped in a way that feels gentle. The platform does not hold anything now. It rests empty, quiet and undisturbed. And yet the emptiness itself feels meaningful, as if something once rested here, or perhaps something unseen still does. Around the platform, the floor is marked with faint lines.
These lines are not deep carvings, but light impressions, forming subtle patterns that circle the space. They're difficult to notice at first, but once seen, they create a sense of quiet structure, as if guiding attention toward the center of the room. The walls of this chamber hold only a few markings. They are placed carefully, not spread across the surface, but positioned with intention. Small symbols, each one distinct, each one separated from the others. They do not form clear scenes or stories. Instead, they feel like individual pieces of meaning, placed quietly, without explanation. Some of these symbols resemble shapes seen before, though slightly altered. Others are unfamiliar, their forms simple yet difficult to interpret. They do not invite quick understanding. They remain still, allowing their presence to exist without clarity. The air in this room feels especially calm. It does not move. It does not shift. It simply rests. Even the act of breathing feels softer here, as if the space itself encourages stillness. There is no sense of urgency, no feeling that anything needs to happen. Everything feels settled, complete, and at rest. If one were to remain here for some time, standing quietly near the center, there might be a sense that this room was not made for many people. It feels personal, almost private, as if it was meant for a single moment or a single purpose, carried out long ago and then left behind. The platform remains empty. The symbols remain silent. The patterns on the floor remain faint and undisturbed. Nothing calls attention to itself. Nothing asks to be understood. Far above, the day begins to soften once more. The light of the sun lowers gently across the horizon, casting long shadows over the desert. The pyramids stand quietly in that fading light, their shapes steady against the sky. The wind moves softly across the sand, leaving delicate patterns that will soon disappear again. Along the Nile, the water reflects the changing colors of the evening. The surface shifts slowly, carrying with it the calm rhythm of the land. Boats return to the riverbanks, their movements unhurried. Voices remain low, blending into the quiet atmosphere of the approaching night. Life continues as it always has, simple, steady, unaware of the quiet spaces hidden deep within the stone. Back inside, the small chamber remains unchanged. The platform sits at the center, still and empty. The faint lines on the floor rest in their soft patterns. The symbols on the walls hold their quiet shapes. Nothing moves, nothing fades. Everything remains as it was left. Along one side of the room, almost hidden in shadow, there is another detail. A slight indentation in the wall. It is not a full opening, not a clear passage, but a subtle shift in the stone, as if something once connected here. The edges are smooth, carefully shaped, suggesting that it was not formed by time alone. It is easy to overlook, easy to pass without noticing, and yet it feels important in a quiet way, as though it leads not to another space, but to another layer of understanding that has not yet been seen. The room holds its silence. The air remains still, and the mystery deepens, not through sudden discovery, but through quiet presence. Each chamber, each passage, each object adds another gentle layer to something that does not need to be solved, only observed, only felt. And somewhere beyond this small room, beyond the visible walls and hidden lines, the structure continues. Not loudly, not urgently, but slowly, quietly, waiting in the same stillness it has always known. The path does not end here. It simply pauses before continuing once more into the deeper, darker spaces that remain untouched, holding yet another quiet and patient mystery within their silent stone.
The small indentation in the wall does not reveal itself all at once. It rests quietly, blending into the stone, as though it does not wish to be seen too easily. But when noticed, it begins to take shape, not as a doorway, but as a gentle hollow, a place where the stone curves inward with intention. The edges are smooth, carefully formed, and there is a sense that this space was made not for movement, but for presence. The hollow is not deep, but it is not shallow either. It exists somewhere in between, holding a stillness that feels separate from the rest of the chamber. The air within it feels slightly cooler, as if it has been resting even longer than the surrounding space. There are no carvings inside, no markings to guide the eye, only the quiet surface of the stone, untouched and calm. And yet, there is something there. Not something that can be seen clearly, but something that can be felt. A difference, a softness in the air, as if it holds a memory without form. If one were to stand near this hollow, remaining still, allowing time to pass slowly, there might be a quiet awareness that this space once held something. Not something large or heavy, but something placed with care. Something that belonged exactly here, within this gentle curve of stone. But now, it is gone. Or perhaps it has simply changed. The chamber remains silent. The platform at the center does not shift. The faint lines on the floor continue their soft, circular patterns. Everything holds its place, as if nothing has ever been disturbed. And yet, this small hollow suggests otherwise. A quiet absence, a presence that is no longer visible. The air feels slightly different here, not moving, not changing, but holding a subtle weight, a stillness within stillness, as if this space remembers something that has not been spoken. Time passes gently. There is no clear measure of it, only the slow rhythm of breath, the steady quiet that fills every corner of the room. The stone walls do not echo, the air does not shift, and the silence remains unbroken. But beyond this chamber, beyond the hollow and the platform, the structure continues, always continuing, always moving deeper. Near the base of the wall, opposite the narrow passage that led into this room, there is another opening, even smaller, lower to the ground. It is not immediately visible unless one looks carefully. Its edges are less defined, softened slightly, as if shaped with a different intention. It does not invite entry in the usual way. Instead, it suggests a quieter movement, one that requires slowing down even further. The space beyond it is dark, completely dark. No light reaches inside. No detail can be seen from where it begins. Only a still, waiting darkness. To enter this passage, one must lower themselves, moving closer to the ground. The stone beneath feels cool and steady, and the air grows even more quiet, as though sound itself has chosen not to follow. Inside, the passage is narrow, very narrow. The walls are close on either side, and the ceiling is low, creating a space that feels enclosed but not uncomfortable. It does not press inward, it simply exists, guiding the movement forward in a slow and careful way. Each motion feels softer here, more deliberate. The outside world feels even further away. The air within this passage is different. It is not only still, but settled, as if it has not been disturbed for an even longer time. Breathing feels quieter, almost as if the space itself is encouraging silence. There are no carvings along these walls, no symbols, no markings, only smooth stone stretching forward into darkness. It feels as though this passage was not meant to explain anything, not meant to show anything, only to lead. After some time, though time feels difficult to measure here, the passage begins to widen slightly.
The ceiling lifts just enough to allow a more natural movement, and the walls pull back gently, creating a small space ahead. Another chamber, hidden deeper than the others, quieter than the rest. This room is different, not in size, not in shape, but in feeling. The air here is the stillest yet, so still that it almost feels like it is not moving at all, as if it has settled into a complete and perfect calm. At the center of this chamber, there is something unexpected, a shallow basin carved directly into the stone floor. It is round, smooth, and carefully shaped, with edges that curve inward gently. The surface inside the basin is polished, more so than the surrounding floor, as if it was meant to hold something. But now it is empty, completely empty. There is no dust inside, no sand, no sign of anything that once rested there. Only the smooth surface of the stone, reflecting a faint and quiet light. Around the basin, the floor is bare. No patterns, no lines, no markings, only the stillness. The walls of this chamber are also empty. No carvings, no symbols, nothing to guide the understanding, nothing to explain the purpose of this space. And yet the basin remains, at the center, calm, balanced, intentional. It feels as though this room was not made to be seen often, not made for many, but created for a single purpose, a purpose that has now passed into silence. The air holds that silence gently, not as something heavy, but as something complete. Far above, the night has fully returned. The stars once again fill the sky, steady and quiet. The desert rests beneath them. The Nile continues its endless flow, unchanged, carrying the same calm rhythm through the darkness. The pyramids stand as they always have, still, silent, holding within them these quiet spaces, these hidden rooms, these unanswered mysteries. And deep within the stone, in a chamber untouched by light, the shallow basin rests in perfect stillness, empty, unexplained, unchanged. The silence does not ask for meaning. It does not seek to be understood. It simply remains, calm, endless, at rest. And beyond this chamber, though unseen, the structure continues still, further inward, further downward, holding more quiet spaces, waiting not to be discovered, but to remain exactly as they have always been.
From the chamber with the shallow basin, the silence lingers in a deep and gentle way, as if it does not wish to be disturbed. The air remains still, settled into a calm that feels complete. Nothing shifts, nothing echoes, and even the smallest movement seems to fade before it can fully exist. The basin rests at the center, smooth and empty, holding its quiet presence without explanation. Along the far side of the chamber, where the wall meets the floor, there is a faint line. It is not immediately clear, and it does not stand out against the stone, but with careful attention, it begins to take shape as a narrow seam running softly along the surface. It suggests a boundary, not of separation, but of transition, a place where one space ends and another quietly begins. The seam leads to a low passage, even more subtle than the ones before. It does not open widely. Instead, it offers a gentle continuation, as though it is simply an extension of the stone itself. The edges are smooth, shaped with patience, and the space beyond it feels deeply enclosed. As the movement continues through this passage, the air grows cooler once more. The walls are close, but not pressing. They guide the way forward in a steady, unchanging manner. The floor remains even, carefully shaped, allowing each step to feel balanced and calm. There are no loose stones, no signs of disruption, only the quiet presence of a place that has remained untouched for a very long time. The darkness here feels softer, not empty, but full in its stillness, as if it holds something gentle within it. After some time, the passage begins to widen again, slowly and without sudden change. The ceiling lifts, the walls ease outward, and another chamber comes into view. This one feels slightly larger, though not grand. Its shape is simple, balanced, and calm, like all the spaces before it. But here, something is different. Along the walls there are markings once again, not the detailed carvings of earlier chambers, and not the flowing patterns of the deeper spaces, but something in between. These markings are faint, almost as if they were made with a lighter hand, or perhaps softened over time. They form gentle lines that move across the stone in quiet repetition. Some lines run parallel, side by side, creating a sense of order. Others curve slowly, intersecting in ways that feel natural rather than planned. Together, they form patterns that are not immediately clear, but feel intentional. They do not tell a story in the usual way. They do not show figures or scenes. Instead, they feel like a kind of rhythm, a quiet structure that exists without needing explanation. At certain points along the walls, these lines gather into small clusters. In these clusters, the markings become slightly deeper, more defined. They form shapes that almost resemble symbols, but not in a way that is easily understood. Each cluster feels separate, like a quiet thought placed carefully within the larger pattern. There is space between them, space that allows each one to exist on its own. The air in this chamber feels balanced, not heavier, not lighter, just steady, as if everything here has found its place. At the center of the room, there is no object, no platform, no basin, only open space. But this emptiness does not feel lacking. It feels intentional, as if the space itself is the focus. If one were to stand in the center, surrounded by these quiet markings, there would be a sense of being held within something gentle, not enclosed, not confined, but simply present within a calm and steady environment. The walls do not speak, the markings do not explain, but together they create a feeling, a quiet awareness that this place was shaped with care for reasons that remain just beyond reach. Along one side of the chamber, there is another passage. It is more visible than the last, though still modest in size. Its edges are defined, its path clear, but it does not draw its attention to itself. It simply continues, offering a way forward, deeper into the structure. The darkness beyond it is soft, not empty, but waiting. Outside, far above the layers of stone, the world moves gently through another day. The sunlight spreads across the desert, warming the surface of the sand. The wind carries small grains across the ground, forming patterns that shift and fade with time. Along the Nile, the water flows as it always has, steady and calm. The reflections on its surface change with the light, creating soft movements that feel almost like breathing. Boats drift quietly, their presence small against the vastness of the river. Life continues in its slow and steady rhythm, unaware of the quiet chambers hidden deep below. Back within the stone, the chamber remains unchanged. The markings rest along the walls. The open space at the center still remains still. The passage waits quietly at the edge, leading further inward. There is no urgency here, no sense of needing to move quickly, only a gentle continuation, a slow unfolding of space, each chamber revealing itself in its own time, each passage guiding the way without force. And as the movement continues, The markings on the walls begin to fade into shadow, growing softer with distance. The chamber remains behind, holding its quiet patterns, its gentle structure, its silent presence. Ahead, the passage deepens once more, leading into another unseen space, another quiet room, another mystery resting patiently within the stillness of the ancient stone. The air remains calm, the silence remains unbroken, and the journey continues slowly and steadily into the deeper heart of the pyramid, where the unknown does not wait to be revealed, but simply exists as it always has, in quiet and endless rest.
The passage continues forward with the same gentle certainty, neither widening too quickly nor narrowing without reason. It feels steady, as if it has been shaped by a quiet understanding of movement, allowing each step to fall naturally into place. The air remains cool and settled, carrying with it a softness that has followed from the deeper chambers behind. As the path extends, there is a subtle change, not in the shape of the walls and not in the feel of the ground, but in the way sound behaves. The silence is still present, but it is no longer complete. There is a faint return of something like an echo, though very soft, almost too quiet to notice at first. Each movement creates a gentle response in the air, not sharp or clear, but distant and fading, like a memory of sound rather than sound itself. This quiet echo does not disturb the calm. It simply adds another layer to it, a reminder that the space continues to open, even in small and careful ways. After a slow and steady walk, the passage reveals another chamber. This one feels slightly taller than the last. The ceiling rises just enough to create a sense of openness, though the room itself remains enclosed and balanced. The walls are smooth, with only a few markings scattered across their surface. These markings are faint and widely spaced, as if placed with great intention, allowing each one to stand alone without interruption. The air here feels different, not heavier, not lighter, but more aware, as if the space itself holds a quiet attention. At the far end of the chamber, there is something resting against the wall, a shape, still, unmoving. At first, it blends into the stone, its form difficult to separate from the surface behind it. But as the eyes adjust, the shape becomes clearer. It is a figure, carved from stone, standing upright. The figure is not large, but it is not small either. It stands at a height close to that of a person, its form simple and calm. The details are not sharp or overly defined, but they are clear enough to show its shape. The arms rest at its sides, the body is straight, the posture is balanced and still. The face is smooth, with only the softest suggestion of features, eyes that do not open or close, a mouth that does not speak, an expression that remains unchanged. There is no decoration on the figure, no markings to suggest identity, no symbols to explain its purpose. It stands alone without explanation, just as it was placed. The space around the figure feels especially quiet. The faint echo that was present in the passage seems to soften here, as if it does not wish to linger too long. The air settles gently, returning to a deeper stillness. If one were to stand in front of the figure, there would be no sense of movement, no feeling of presence in the usual way. And yet, there is something. Not something seen, not something heard, but something felt in the stillness. A quiet awareness, as if the figure is not simply an object, but a part of the space itself. The floor beneath it is smooth, slightly more polished than the rest of the chamber. It suggests that this place was meant to be approached, but not disturbed. There are no footprints, no marks of passage, only the calm surface of the stone. Along the walls, the faint markings seem to align gently toward the figure, not directly, not in a clear pattern, but in a way that feels natural, as if the entire chamber has been shaped around this single, silent form. Time feels slower here, more settled, as if each moment stretches slightly, allowing the quiet to deepen. There is no sense of urgency to leave, no pull to move forward, only a gentle invitation to remain, to observe, to exist within the stillness. Far above, the day moves softly toward evening once again. The sunlight begins to lower, casting long and quiet shadows across the desert. The air carries the warmth of the day away, replacing it with a gentle coolness. The Nile continues its steady flow, unchanged by the passing of time. Its surface reflects the fading light, creating soft patterns that drift slowly with the current. The world above remains calm, unaware. Back within the chamber, the figure remains still, unmoving, unchanging. It does not shift with time. It does not respond to presence. It simply stands, as it always has. Near the side of the chamber, there is another passage, wider than some before, but still quiet in its appearance. It does not draw attention away from the figure, but it exists alongside it, offering a continuation without interruption. The darkness beyond it is soft, steady, waiting. The chamber holds its balance. The figure remains at rest. The faint markings stay along the walls. Nothing changes, nothing fades. Everything remains exactly as it is. And as the journey continues, slowly and without urgency, the space behind begins to soften into memory. The figure stands quietly in its place, the chamber holds its calm, and ahead, the passage leads once more into the deeper spaces of the pyramid, where the silence continues, and where another quiet mystery waits, resting gently within the stillness of ancient stone.
The passage beside the still figure opens gently, without drawing attention away from the quiet presence left behind. As the movement continues forward, the chamber softens into silence once more, and the figure remains where it has always been, standing without motion, without change. The new passage feels different from the others. It is longer, more extended. The walls stretch forward in a steady and uninterrupted line, creating a corridor that seems to continue without end. The ceiling is slightly higher, allowing the space to feel more open, yet the stillness remains unchanged. The air is calm, cool, and settled, holding a quiet consistency that does not shift with movement. Each step along this corridor feels even and measured. The floor is smooth, shaped with careful intention, allowing a steady rhythm to form naturally. There are no sudden turns, no curves to follow, only a straight and patient path leading deeper into the stone. Along the walls, faint symbols begin to appear. At first, they are barely visible, soft impressions that blend into the surface. But as the corridor continues, they become slightly clearer, though never sharp or bold. These symbols are different from the carvings seen before. They are simpler, more minimal, small shapes placed at even intervals, repeating gently along the length of the passage. Each symbol holds its own quiet form, a curved line, a small circle, a shape that resembles a wave, though it does not move. They do not connect to form a clear message. They do not tell a story in sequence. Instead, they exist individually, spaced with care, creating a rhythm along the walls. As one walks further, these symbols begin to change,
not suddenly, but gradually. The shapes shift slightly. The curves become softer. The lines grow thinner until slowly they begin to fade. The fading is not caused by damage, not by time alone. It feels intentional, as if the symbols were meant to disappear, to become less visible with distance, to guide the movement not through clarity, but through quiet transition. The corridor continues, long, steady, unbroken. The silence here feels deeper again, as if the faint echoes from the previous chamber have now disappeared completely. There is no return of sound, no reflection of movement, only the soft presence of still air. At a certain point, the symbols vanish entirely. The walls return to smooth, untouched stone. No markings, no patterns, only the quiet surface stretching forward. The absence of symbols feels noticeable, but not empty. It feels like a pause, a space between meanings, a place where nothing is added and nothing is taken away. The air becomes cooler once more, not sharply, but gently, a subtle change that settles into the breath, encouraging even slower movement, even quieter steps. After a long and patient walk, the corridor begins to shift, not in direction, but in feeling. The space ahead grows slightly darker, though the difference is soft. The walls draw in just a little, and the ceiling lowers in a way that feels natural, as if guiding the movement towards something more contained. And then, slowly, another chamber begins to appear. This room is wide, but not tall. The ceiling rests lower than before, creating a sense of closeness, though not discomfort. The walls are smooth, uninterrupted, and free of any markings. The space feels quiet in a complete and balanced way, as if nothing has ever been added or removed. At the center of the chamber, there is something resting on the floor, a stone circle. It is not raised, not separate from the ground. It is carved directly into the surface, forming a perfect round shape, smooth along its edges and slightly recessed. The inside of the circle is polished, more so than the surrounding stone, reflecting a faint and gentle light. There are no symbols within the circle, no markings around it, only the shape itself, simple, complete, still. The space around the circle is empty, no objects, no platforms, no carvings, only the quiet presence of the chamber holding the circle at its center. Standing near it, there is a sense of balance, as if the entire room has been shaped around this single form. The circle does not explain itself. It does not invite touch. It simply exists, calm and unmoving. The air in this chamber feels especially settled, even more so than the spaces before. It does not shift. It does not respond. It remains exactly as it is. Far above, the night has deepened once again. The stars fill the sky, steady and quiet, watching over the land as they always have. The desert rests beneath them, its surface still and endless. The Nile continues its slow and gentle movement, reflecting the faint light of the stars in soft and quiet patterns. Everything above remains unchanged, and deep within the pyramid, the long corridor rests behind. The fading symbols have disappeared into smooth stone. The chamber now holds only the circle, simple, silent, unexplained. There is no sound here, no movement, only stillness. And beyond this chamber, though not yet visible, the structure continues once more, deeper, quieter, holding within it another space, another gentle mystery, waiting not to be revealed, but to remain in its calm and endless rest.
The chamber with the stone circle remains still as the path continues onward, almost unnoticed at first. Along the edge of the room, where the wall meets the floor, there is a gradual slope, so gentle that it feels less like a passage and more like a natural extension of the stone. It does not appear as an entrance in the usual sense, but it quietly allows the movement to continue downward. The descent begins slowly. Each step follows the slight incline, guided not by sharp edges or carved boundaries, but by the soft shaping of the floor itself. The air changes again here, becoming cooler, more settled, as though it has traveled less and rested more. The silence deepens in a subtle way, wrapping around the space without pressure. The walls remain smooth, no carvings, no symbols, only uninterrupted stone stretching downward alongside the path. As the descent continues, the sense of depth becomes more present. It is not measured by distance, but by feeling. The chambers above begin to fade from awareness, not as something forgotten, but as something gently placed behind. The air grows slightly heavier in its stillness, not uncomfortable, not dense, but quiet in a way that feels complete. There is a softness to the darkness here. It does not feel empty, it feels settled, as if it has been undisturbed for longer than the spaces above. After a long and steady descent, the path begins to level. The floor returns to an even surface, and the walls widen just enough to suggest the arrival of another space. The transition is gradual, almost unnoticeable, until the chamber fully reveals itself. This room is lower than the others, not only in depth, but in presence. The ceiling rests closer, the walls feel more enclosing, and the air is the stillest yet. It feels as though this space exists far removed from everything above, as if it belongs to a deeper quiet. At the center of the chamber, there is a structure unlike those seen before, a rectangular stone block. It rises slightly from the ground, its edges sharp and carefully defined. The surface is smooth, flat, and unmarked, reflecting only the faintest trace of light. It does not resemble a platform in the same way before. It feels more solid, more final. The block does not hold anything. It stands alone, complete in itself. Around it, the floor is bare. No lines, no patterns, no carvings. Only the quiet surface of the stone, extending evenly to the walls. But along the walls of this chamber, something returns. Markings, faint, delicate, almost hidden. These markings are not arranged in clear patterns. They appear scattered, as if placed without strict order, yet they do not feel random. Each one holds a quiet presence, separate from the others, like small thoughts resting in the stone. Some are simple shapes, a line, a curve, a small enclosed form. Others are more abstract, their meaning not easily recognized. They do not guide, they do not explain, they simply exist. The air here feels deeper, more settled than before, as if it has reached a place where movement is no longer needed. Breathing feels slower, quieter, almost blending into the stillness. If one were to stand beside the stone block, there would be a sense of something complete, not in a final way, but in a quiet and balanced way, as if this space was meant to exist exactly as it is, without change, without addition. Far above, beyond layers of stone and silence, the world continues its gentle rhythm. The desert shifts softly beneath the wind, its surface never still,
yet always calm. The Nile moves steadily through the land, unchanged by time, carrying its quiet flow beneath the sky. The stars remain above, distant and constant, unaware of the spaces below. Back in the chamber, the block remains still. The faint markings rest along the walls. The air does not move. Nothing changes. And yet, there is still a sense that the journey is not complete. Along the far corner of the room, where the wall meets the floor, there is another opening, very small, barely visible. It does not present itself clearly. It does not invite attention, but it exists, quietly. This opening is different from the others. It does not lead forward in a straight line. Instead, it angles slightly downward, continuing the descent even further. The darkness within it is deeper, more complete. To follow it requires even slower movement, more care, more stillness. The chamber behind begins to soften into silence once more. The stone block remains at the center, unmoving, unchanged. And ahead, the narrow opening leads further into the depths of the pyramid, into spaces where the air has rested longer, where the silence has settled more completely, where the mystery does not grow louder, but quieter. The path continues, slowly, gently, downward. And within that quiet descent, another hidden space waits, resting in the deepest stillness, untouched and unchanged, holding its presence without need, without sound, and without end.
The narrow opening at the end of the lower chamber leads gently into the next space, small enough to require careful steps, yet large enough to feel inviting. The air here is cooler still, carrying a weightless quiet that seems to settle around every movement. It does not press, but it surrounds, encouraging slow and deliberate presence. The descent feels complete, yet the journey continues onward, quietly, without haste. The walls along this narrow passage are smooth, yet the surface feels subtly different. There are tiny indentations, shallow and soft, forming faint impressions in the stone. They do not create shapes, symbols, or images. Instead, they suggest the passage of time, the gentle shaping of the stone by unseen hands, or perhaps by the patient movements of centuries. Each step along the floor feels deliberate, echoing faintly against the calm air, only to fade into nothingness. As the corridor continues, it begins to widen just enough to reveal another chamber, smaller than many before, yet distinct in its atmosphere. The ceiling rests lower here, and the space carries a concentrated quiet that almost seems to breathe slowly in tandem with the air itself. The stone surfaces are polished, worn smooth in a subtle, deliberate way. There is no immediate object at the center, no platform or basin. The room exists gently in its own right, holding its calm in every corner. Along one wall, near the far end, a small niche becomes visible. It is carved into the stone with careful precision, shallow and unobtrusive, shaped not to draw attention, but to offer presence. The niche is empty, yet it seems as though it once held something quietly important. Its edges are rounded and smooth, inviting observation without expectation. The very act of noticing it slows the mind, encourages breathing to soften, and invites the senses to adjust to the stillness. The floor around the niche is bare, unmarked by footprints or disturbance. Every surface is quiet, untouched, yet the air here feels different, subtly denser with time, not heavy, not oppressive, but aware. It carries a memory of presence, though no figure remains. It is as though the niche holds the faint echo of something past, folded into the calm of stone and shadow.
The walls are otherwise unadorned, though upon closer observation, faint lines stretch across the surface. They are not the carvings seen in other chambers, not symbols with apparent meaning, but delicate, linear impressions that move gently and parallel or curve with subtle irregularity. They do not tell stories or guide steps. They exist quietly, like whispers pressed into the stone, fading softly at their edges. They encourage reflection, drawing the eye without demand, holding attention without urgency. The chamber itself feels slightly removed from the rest of the structure, as if it exists in a pocket of time, separate yet connected. The air does not move, the silence does not waver. It is complete, balanced, as though the space has been resting in this exact state for centuries. The stone, the niche, the faint lines, and the soft shadows all merge into a single calm presence. Far above, the world continues its gentle rhythm. The night deepens further across the desert. The wind moves slowly over the dunes, shifting sand without hurry. The Nile flows steadily, reflecting the soft glow of the moon and stars. The land above remains unaware of the hidden alcove below, its quiet significance concealed within the layers of stone and time. Back within the chamber, the niche holds its gentle emptiness. The soft lines on the walls rest undisturbed. The air is still. Nothing moves. Nothing shifts. The quiet is complete, yet welcoming, an invitation to pause and exist within the calm of stone and shadow. At the edge of the chamber, opposite the niche, a subtle passage begins. It is narrower than before, barely noticeable unless one observes carefully. Its opening is low and angled, leading gently downward into darkness. The shadows within it are soft, inviting slow and careful exploration, as though they have been waiting patiently for centuries for another presence to move through them. The corridor behind fades into quiet memory. The soft stone niche, the faint linear markings, the polished surfaces, all remain untouched. The calm is preserved, the silence deepens. And ahead, the passage continues its gentle descent into spaces yet unseen, where the air rests heavier, the darkness softens, and the stillness grows more profound. Another hidden space awaits, quiet and patient, folded into the deep heart of the pyramid, where mystery does not call, but simply exists.
The narrow passage beyond the soft stone niche slopes gently downward, inviting careful steps. It does not demand attention. It does not announce itself. Instead, it guides quietly, like a gentle hand on the shoulder, encouraging movement without urgency. The air here is cooler still, calm and steady, holding a soft weight that settles into the bones and quiets the mind. Every breath taken within this space feels slow, measured, as though the air itself wishes to lull the senses into stillness. The walls of the passage are smooth, yet they bear subtle textures, faint ridges and shallow grooves that run almost imperceptibly along the stone. They do not form images or symbols. They do not tell stories, but they exist as a quiet record of presence, perhaps made by hands long gone, perhaps shaped by centuries of settling stone. Touching them, if one dared, would reveal nothing sudden or sharp, only a gentle consistency, a slow reassurance that the passage has always been patient, waiting. As the descent continues, the corridor grows slightly darker, though not with harsh shadows. The darkness here is soft, enveloping, like a woolen blanket folded around the space. It does not feel threatening. It does not ask for explanation. It simply is, holding each step, each breath in gentle containment. After some time, the corridor begins to widen.
The ceiling lifts just enough to allow comfortable movement. The walls, still smooth, seem to lean slightly inward, creating a quiet sense of intimacy, as though this space has been shaped for reflection rather than passage. The air feels denser here, carrying a faint, cool scent, perhaps the natural mineral of the stone, or the ancient presence that has rested here for countless years. At last, the passage opens into another chamber. It is wider than the previous spaces, though its ceiling remains low, just enough to feel enclosed without being constricted. The walls are bare, untouched, and yet there is an aura to the room, a quiet significance that does not need symbols or markings to communicate itself. At the center of this chamber, there is no object, no platform, no basin, no figure, only space, wide, open, calm. The emptiness itself holds a gentle weight, a soft invitation to pause. It encourages stillness, deepening the awareness of every subtle sound, or lack thereof, and every tiny movement of air that brushes the skin. Yet along the walls something returns, faint traces, not carvings, not symbols, but thin lines etched subtly into the stone. They follow no pattern that the eye can easily comprehend. Some curve, some stretch straight, some intersect in delicate, quiet intersections. They do not guide or instruct. They do not announce meaning. They simply exist, like whispers pressed into stone, soft and patient. There is a subtle rhythm to them, not a rhythm that demands recognition, but one that is felt in the quiet of the room. Standing here, one begins to notice the way the lines curve gently toward the corners, how the stone reflects the faint light, how the air carries a sense of pause. The chamber feels like a space set aside, a space separate from the others. It does not draw attention. It does not need to. It exists quietly, holding its form, holding its calm, holding its centuries-long stillness. Far above, the night continues over the desert. Stars glimmer softly, unchanged by time. The Nile flows steadily, a quiet mirror to the moon and the sky. The wind moves gently across the dunes, shifting grains of sand imperceptibly, forming patterns that last only moments before vanishing again. The world above remains serene, entirely unaware of the hidden spaces below. Inside, the chamber remains complete. The faint lines along the walls hold their quiet rhythm. The air is still. Nothing moves. Nothing calls attention. Everything rests in gentle equilibrium. Along the far wall, almost hidden in shadow, a narrow passage begins. Its opening is low, subtle, unobtrusive. It slopes slightly downward into deeper darkness. The space beyond promises continued descent, not in urgency, not in demand, but in quiet, steady patience. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its emptiness, its faint lines, its complete stillness all remain untouched. The calm is preserved. The quiet deepens. And ahead, the narrow passage leads further into the heart of the pyramid. Another chamber waits in silence, waiting not to reveal itself loudly, but to exist softly. Another quiet space rests within stone, where time slows, where mystery does not speak, and where stillness is the only presence.
The narrow passage stretches forward, guiding softly into the deeper stone. It slopes down with a careful subtlety, not steep, not urgent, only deliberate. Each step is quiet, almost absorbed by the stillness of the walls. The air here feels cooler, calm, and weightless. It settles gently around the body, as if the stone itself wishes to envelop every movement, every breath, in patience and quiet. The walls of the passage are smooth, yet under close observation, they reveal delicate undulations, small curves, tiny hollows, shallow ridges, nothing that demands attention, nothing that instructs, but enough to feel the slow passage of time. These subtle textures suggest care and presence, though it is unclear whether they were shaped by human hands or by the quiet weight of centuries settling into stone. As the descent continues, the corridor begins to curve gently, not sharply, but with a soft bend that guides the movement gradually to one side. The shift is subtle, imperceptible at first, yet it carries a sensation of transition. It is as if the space is signaling a quiet change, a gentle opening into something just beyond the eye's immediate perception. The darkness here is soft, not thick, not heavy, but enveloping. It does not press, it does not close in. It simply rests, a companion to the stillness that has accompanied every step. The faint echo from before is entirely gone. Sound itself seems to have chosen silence in this hidden curve. At the end of this gentle bend, the passage opens into a small chamber. Its walls curve slightly inward, enclosing the space without feeling confining. The ceiling rests low, softening the sense of openness. The stone here is polished, even smoother than the passage, with an almost imperceptible shine that catches the faintest light. The chamber is intimate, quiet, and precise in its stillness. At one side of the room, a hollow forms naturally in the wall. It is shallow, unobtrusive, shaped with care so that it does not draw attention, but invites observation. The hollow is empty, yet it feels intentional, as though it once held something meant to rest here, small, quiet, and significant. Its edges are rounded, softened, almost like the space was designed to cradle something carefully and then release it into absence. The floor surrounding the hollow is bare and smooth. There are no markings, no footprints, no signs of disturbance. The air is still, holding a subtle sense of memory, the faint echo of something that may have existed long ago. The space invites one to pause, to breathe slowly, to notice the calm in every corner. Along the remaining walls, there are faint, almost invisible lines etched into the stone. They do not form patterns, do not create symbols, and do not guide. Some are short, delicate curves. Others are thin, straight impressions. They appear sporadic, yet carefully placed, as if the space itself is breathing slowly through these small marks. Their presence is quiet, unnoticed unless one truly looks, but once noticed, they add a soft rhythm to the chamber's calm. Time in this room is unmeasured. There is no urgency to leave, no need to move quickly. The chamber exists in a gentle suspension, a quiet pocket within the larger structure of stone. Each moment stretches softly, allowing awareness of the air, the walls, the hollow, and the faint lines along the surface. Outside, the night continues its slow course. The stars above shine steadily. The wind moves softly across the desert, shifting sand in tiny, imperceptible waves. The Nile flows gently, reflecting the quiet luminescence of the moon. The world above remains peaceful, entirely unaware of the chamber hidden deep below. Within the chamber, the hollow rests, empty yet intentional. The faint lines along the walls shimmer softly in the low light. The air is settled, deep and still. The quiet is complete, yet gentle, welcoming, and patient. At the far end of the room, a subtle opening begins, small, low, and almost hidden. It leads forward with another gentle curve. The passage beyond slopes slightly downward, deeper into the pyramid, carrying the same calm, the same patience, the same quiet that has defined each space so far. The chamber behind slowly softens into memory. The hollow, The polished stone, the faint lines all remain untouched. The calm is preserved. The silence deepens. And ahead, the next passage waits. Another quiet space, another gentle mystery, folded carefully into the stone, where stillness does not speak, but simply exists.
The narrow passage beyond the gentle hollow continues its slow descent, curving softly with a calm that invites careful, unhurried steps. Each movement is absorbed almost completely by the stillness, leaving only a faint awareness of presence in the air. The stone beneath the feet is even, smooth, holding a steady rhythm that encourages each step to be slow, measured, and unhurried. The air here carries a subtle coolness, slightly denser than the chambers above, as if it has been undisturbed for centuries. It rests quietly, without movement, allowing the body to adjust, to breathe, to exist in calm. There is no draft, no unevenness, only a steady, gentle stillness that seems to fold around every motion. As the passage continues, it begins to widen slightly, giving the sensation of release after the narrow curves. The walls remain smooth, unadorned, though faint irregularities mark their surfaces, tiny ridges and shallow hollows that catch the eye softly, without demanding attention. These small imperfections do not disrupt the calm. Instead, they enhance it, offering subtle texture to a space otherwise uniform and steady. After a gradual walk, the passage opens into a new chamber. Its presence is quiet, yet palpable. The walls curve gently inward, and the ceiling rests lower than in previous rooms, creating a sense of intimacy without confinement. Light, soft and diffuse, seems to linger here, though its source is unseen. Shadows stretch along the walls in calm, subtle gradients, moving only with the faint shift of air, almost imperceptible. At the center of this chamber, the floor is entirely smooth. No object, no platform, nothing raised. The space itself holds weight and presence. Standing here, one feels the gentle gravity of the room, the soft enclosure, and the quiet that seems to grow deeper the longer one remains. Along the walls, faint markings appear once more. They are softer than any previous etchings, thin impressions almost lost in the stone. Some form delicate curves, others short, straight lines. They do not form words, do not tell stories, and do not guide the eye in any specific direction. Instead, they exist quietly, as if to echo the stillness of the chamber itself. The air feels heavier here, not in pressure, but in quiet substance. Each breath taken feels slow and full, as though time itself is moving gently along with the space. The faint shadows along the walls deepen the sensation of calm, allowing the senses to soften into the room's presence. Far above, the night deepens further. The desert lies still under the glow of the stars. The wind shifts sand slowly and softly, leaving behind patterns that vanish almost immediately. The Nile continues its steady, gentle flow. The world above moves in quiet cycles, unaware of the chamber hidden deep below. Within the chamber, the shadows hold no secrets, no messages. They rest, balanced against the soft lines etched into the walls. The still air, the smooth stone, and the quiet enclosure merge into one steady presence. Time seems to stretch, allowing every step, every breath, every heartbeat to slow and settle. At the far end of the chamber, another passage begins, low,
subtle, almost hidden in shadow, it continues the descent. The slope slopes gently forward, carrying the quiet deeper, toward spaces still untouched, still unknown. The darkness beyond is soft and calm, not empty, only patient, waiting quietly for the next movement. The chamber behind fades into gentle memory. Its soft shadows, its faint markings, its quiet stillness, all remain preserved. The calm grows deeper, the silence holds firm, and ahead the narrow passage leads further, folding into the stone of the pyramid, where quiet continues unbroken, and where another space, gentle and patient, waits in stillness, untouched by time.
The narrow passage beyond the chamber of quiet shadows slopes slowly downward, curving with soft, unhurried precision. Each step along the smooth stone feels deliberate, absorbed into the stillness of the air. There is no rush here, no urgency, only the gentle insistence of movement that allows the body and mind to adjust, to slow, to breathe with the quiet weight of the space. The walls of the passage carry subtle textures, shallow ridges, faint indentations, and small undulations that hint at the passage of time. They are not deliberate carvings, not symbols, but traces of patience. Each imperfection, each gentle curve in the stone contributes to the quiet rhythm of the corridor. Touching the wall would reveal only smoothness, interrupted by small, almost imperceptible rises and falls, a tactile whisper of the centuries. As the corridor continues, it begins to widen slightly, creating a sense of calm expansion. The ceiling rises gradually, though never dramatically, maintaining the intimate, enclosed sensation. The air grows even quieter, cooler, carrying a softness that seems to settle into every movement, every breath. There is no sound here to disturb the stillness, only the faint awareness of presence. After some time, the corridor opens into another chamber, smaller than the last, yet balanced in proportion. Its ceiling is low, the walls curve gently inward, and the space feels enclosed in a way that encourages reflection rather than movement. There is no object at the center, no raised platform, no basin, only smooth stone floor and the quiet weight of the room itself. Along one wall there is a shallow hollow. It is subtle, carved with care, almost blending into the stone so that it might be overlooked. The hollow is empty, yet it holds presence. It is as if it once cradled something small and important, something meant to rest quietly in this hidden chamber. The edges are rounded, softened by time, and the hollow invites still observation rather than interaction. The walls around the hollow are etched with faint lines. They are thinner and softer than any previously seen markings, flowing gently across the surface. Some curve, some stretch straight, others form small, isolated shapes. They do not connect, do not guide, do not tell a story. They exist only to be seen, soft reminders of quiet, delicate rhythms pressed into stone. The air feels heavier with stillness, not oppressive, but deep. Each breath draws in calm, slowing the body, quieting the mind. The space encourages long, slow observation, patience, and gentle awareness. Even movement is softened, measured, absorbed by the presence of stone and shadow. Far above, night continues its steady progression. Stars drift silently across the sky, casting soft light over the desert. Sand shifts slowly in the faint wind, leaving behind delicate patterns that vanish as soon as they form. The Nile glides calmly, reflecting the moonlight. The world above is serene,
unaware of the quiet, hidden chambers below. Inside the chamber, the hollow rests, empty yet intentional. The faint lines along the walls remain. The air is still, calm, and patient. Every element holds its place. At the far end of the chamber, a subtle opening begins, low and quiet. It continues the descent into deeper stone. The passage slopes gently forward, carrying the journey further into spaces untouched, where the silence grows deeper and where the stillness holds its own quiet presence. The chamber behind softens into memory. Its hollow, its faint lines, its polished stone all remain undisturbed. The calm persists and the silence deepens. Ahead, the narrow passage leads onward, folding into the depths of the pyramid. Another chamber waits in patient quiet, where stillness continues uninterrupted, holding time gently, without expectation, without movement, simply existing.
The passage beyond the gentle hollow slopes ever so slightly downward, curving with soft precision. Each step feels deliberate, absorbed entirely by the stillness of the stone and the calm weight of the air. There is no urgency here, no rush. Every movement is slow, measured, quiet. The coolness of the space settles gently on the skin, soothing the senses and allowing the mind to soften into the rhythm of the descent. The walls are smooth, yet they carry subtle textures. Tiny ridges and shallow hollows appear under close observation, faint traces of presence long ago. They do not form symbols, they do not convey messages, they simply exist, soft impressions in the stone that encourage a slower pace, an awareness of each careful step. Each curve, each indentation seems purposeful, yet entirely quiet in its intent. The passage gradually widens, offering a sense of openness without breaking the intimacy of the space. The ceiling lifts slightly, maintaining a comfortable enclosure. The air feels quieter still, softening the awareness of each breath. Here, the silence is complete, not empty, but patient, steady, holding the space with gentle assurance. After a careful walk, the corridor opens into another chamber. Smaller than many before, it carries a calm intensity. The ceiling rests low, the walls curve inward with gentle precision, and the stone floor is smooth, polished by time and careful shaping. At the center, there is nothing raised, nothing placed, only stone and stillness, offering presence without distraction. Along one wall, a small recess becomes visible. Shallow and subtle, it is carved with care, almost blending into the stone. It is empty, yet it feels purposeful. Perhaps it once held something quiet, small, and significant. Its edges are softened by time, inviting attention without demanding it. The recess is a space for observation, reflection, gentle pause. The surrounding walls bear faint, almost imperceptible lines etched across their surface. Some curve softly, others stretch straight, and a few form isolated, delicate impressions. They do not guide, do not instruct, and do not form a story. They simply exist, soft impressions in the stone that encourage a slower pace, an awareness of each careful step. Each curve, each indentation seems purposeful, yet entirely quiet in its intent. The air here carries subtle weight, not heavy, not oppressive, but dense with quiet. Each breath draws in calm, slows the body, and encourages presence. Every step,
Every shift of weight becomes part of the space's gentle rhythm, absorbed fully by the stone and the shadows. Far above, the night deepens. Stars move softly across the sky, casting delicate light over the desert. The wind drifts slowly over the dunes, shaping and reshaping patterns that vanish almost immediately. The Nile continues its steady flow, reflecting the gentle moonlight. The world above remains calm, unaware of the hidden recess below. Within the chamber, the small recess rests quietly. The etched lines along the walls remain subtle, delicate, undisturbed. The polished stone, the soft shadows, and the still air merge into one quiet presence. Time seems to stretch gently here, allowing observation, thought, and breath to exist slowly, without hurry. At the far end, a subtle passage begins. Low, narrow, almost hidden in the shadow, it continues the descent. The floor slopes gently forward, carrying the traveler into spaces still untouched, deeper into the heart of the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft, patient, inviting slow and careful exploration. The chamber behind fades into gentle memory. Its recess, its faint lines, its polished floor, all remain preserved. The calm is absolute. Silence deepens further. And ahead, the narrow passage leads onward into spaces where stillness continues, unbroken and gentle, where quiet is not simply the absence of sound, but a presence in itself, patient and eternal.
The narrow passage beyond the hidden recess continues downward with a gentle slope. Each step is soft, deliberate, almost absorbed entirely by the stillness of the surrounding stone. The air is cool and calm, resting lightly on the skin, inviting each breath to slow, to deepen, to align with the quiet rhythm of the space. There is no hurry here, no demand for attention. The path itself moves gently, carrying the traveler forward without urging, without pressure. The walls are smooth and polished, yet under careful observation they reveal faint textures. Tiny shallow ridges and subtle indentations trace soft patterns along the stone. They are not symbols, not messages, not designs meant to be read. They exist quietly, almost imperceptibly, as gentle records of time, movement, or care. Running a hand along them would reveal nothing sudden or sharp, only the soft reassurance of patience held within the stone. As the passage extends, it begins to widen slightly, the ceiling lifting just enough to allow comfortable movement without losing the sense of intimacy. The air grows quieter still, carrying a delicate softness that encourages the body and mind to slow further. The silence here is complete, not empty, but filled with gentle presence, patient and steady. After a slow, measured walk, the passage opens into a new chamber. Smaller and more intimate than many before, it has a low ceiling and gently curved walls that create a feeling of enclosure, yet never constriction. The floor is smooth, polished stone. There is no raised platform, no basin, no figure, only the stillness of the space itself. The chamber seems to breathe gently, holding quiet in every corner, encouraging observation without intrusion. Along one wall, a narrow slit allows a faint trace of light to enter. It is minimal, soft, almost imperceptible, casting gentle illumination across the floor in delicate streaks. The light does not highlight anything in particular. It does not call attention. Instead, it moves subtly with the air,
shifting slowly across the smooth surfaces, revealing small variations in texture, the faint lines etched into the walls, the gentle curve of the space itself. The walls hold faint markings once more, soft, thin lines, delicate and irregular, etched lightly into the stone. Some are straight, some curved, some isolated. They do not form patterns or symbols, do not guide or instruct. They exist quietly as companions to the soft light, gentle records of presence, echoing the stillness that permeates the chamber. The air feels heavier with calm here, not in burden, but in fullness. Each breath draws in stillness, slows the body, quiets the mind. Movement itself becomes measured, absorbed fully by the patient weight of stone and shadow. The chamber invites one to pause, to notice, to exist quietly without expectation. Above, the night continues its slow course. Stars drift softly across the sky, shedding light onto the desert. The wind moves slowly over the dunes, shaping patterns that vanish almost immediately. The Nile flows gently, steady and unhurried. The world above remains unaware of the hidden chamber below, its calm cycles undisturbed. Within the chamber, the faint streaks of light rest upon the floor. The soft lines on the walls remain delicate and undisturbed, and the air holds absolute stillness. The space exists in gentle equilibrium, a pause in time, patient and quiet. At the far end, the passage begins again. Low, subtle, almost hidden in shadow, it leads forward with a gentle slope, deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft, enveloping, inviting slow and careful movement. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its faint light, soft shadows, polished stone, and quiet markings remain untouched and serene. The calm persists. Silence deepens further. And ahead, the narrow passage continues onward, folding into the stone, leading to spaces where stillness grows even more profound, where quiet is not absence, but presence, patient, eternal, and gentle. The passage beyond the soft light chamber slopes downward once more, its stone floor polished smooth and quiet beneath each careful step. The descent is gentle, almost imperceptible, yet steady, guiding movement slowly and deliberately. The air is cooler here, carrying a calm weight that encourages slow breathing, a soft awareness of the present, and a quiet attunement to the rhythm of the space. The walls curve subtly inward, forming a gentle embrace around the corridor. Smooth to the touch, they hold faint irregularities, shallow indentations, small ridges, and delicate traces of shaping. These marks are neither symbols nor messages. They are quiet reminders of the space's long existence, hints of hands long gone, or centuries of time settling softly into stone. Each subtle imperfection encourages the mind to slow, the body to soften, and each step to be absorbed fully by the stillness of the passage. As the corridor continues, it widens just enough to create a sense of gentle openness. The ceiling lifts gradually, yet not so high as to lose intimacy. The air grows quieter still, carrying a soft, enveloping calm that seems to flow slowly into every breath. The silence here is complete, but comforting, patient, steady, and unhurried. Eventually, the passage opens into a new chamber. It is smaller than many that have come before, yet perfectly proportioned to the low ceiling and softly curved walls. The floor is smooth, polished, and unbroken. There is no raised platform, no basin, no carved figure, only the quiet, balanced presence of stone. The room feels like a soft breath, a pause, a place for stillness itself. Along one wall, the stone curves slightly inward, forming a natural alcove. It is subtle and unobtrusive, carved carefully into the surface, its edges softened by centuries. Empty as it is, the alcove holds a quiet importance, a space once intended to cradle something small, delicate, and meaningful. The gentle curve of the stone invites observation and reflection without requiring interaction. The surrounding walls carry faint lines once more. Soft, delicate, and irregular, they stretch across the stone in short strokes, gentle curves, and thin impressions. They do not form patterns or convey meaning. They exist quietly, companions to the alcove and the smooth stone, echoes of presence in a space devoted entirely to calm and patience. The air in the chamber is dense with stillness, though not oppressive. Each inhalation carries a subtle sense of grounding, slowing the body and quieting the mind. Movement feels measured and absorbed into the space, in harmony with the gentle, steady rhythm of stone and shadow. Above, the night continues over the desert. Stars shimmer softly, steady and unchanging. The wind brushes across the dunes, shaping sand in gentle, transient patterns. The Nile flows calmly, reflecting the quiet moonlight. The world above is serene, unaware of the hidden chambers below. Within the chamber, the alcove rests quietly. The faint lines along the walls remain delicate and undisturbed, and the polished floor holds its calm. Every element contributes to a patient, gentle presence. Time stretches softly, inviting observation and quiet reflection. At the far end of the room, a subtle passage begins. Low, narrow, and nearly hidden in shadow, it slopes forward into deeper darkness. The space beyond carries the same calm, the same patience, and the same quiet presence that has defined the chambers so far. The chamber behind fades softly into memory. Its alcove, faint lines, polished stone, and still air remain untouched. The quiet is preserved. Silence deepens. And ahead, the narrow passage continues onward, folding into the depths of the pyramid, where stillness persists uninterrupted, patient, eternal, and gentle.
The narrow passage beyond the stone curve continues its gentle descent, guiding forward without urgency. Each step is slow and careful, absorbed entirely by the calm presence of the surrounding stone. The air is cooler here, carrying a quiet weight that encourages every breath to slow, to deepen, and to align with the rhythm of the space. There is no rush, no demand, only the steady, patient guidance of the corridor itself. The walls are smooth, yet under close observation they reveal subtle irregularities, tiny ridges, faint indentations, and gentle undulations in the stone. They are not symbols, nor instructions, nor messages. They are quiet marks of time, hints of hands long gone, or centuries of the stone settling softly into itself. Each soft rise and fall under the fingertips encourages presence, slow awareness, and gentle observation with each careful step. As the passage continues, it widens slightly. The ceiling lifts gradually, maintaining a sense of intimacy while allowing space to move comfortably. The air grows even quieter, softening the senses and carrying a subtle, calm weight that seems to rest upon every breath. The silence here is complete, but comforting, patient, and absorbing. After a measured walk, the corridor opens into another chamber. It is smaller than those above, yet carefully proportioned, with low, gently curving walls. The stone floor is polished and unbroken. There is no central object, no platform, no basin, no figure, only the calm presence of the room itself, holding stillness in every corner. The space feels deliberate,
like a soft pause, an invitation to exist quietly and notice the gentle rhythm of stone. Along one wall, a small hollow appears. It is subtle, shallow, and rounded, carved carefully into the stone. Though empty, it feels intentional, as if it once cradled something quiet and meaningful. Its gentle curve encourages observation without demand, a place for the eye to rest, the mind to soften, and the body to slow. The walls around the hollow carry faint, delicate lines. They are soft impressions, some curved, some straight, some isolated, stretching across the stone without forming patterns or symbols. They do not instruct, they do not explain. They exist as companions to the hollow, subtle echoes of presence pressed into stone, reminders of quiet patience. The air is dense with stillness, not in weight, but in fullness. Every breath draws calm into the body, slowing movement and quieting thought. Steps feel absorbed by the space, blending seamlessly into the gentle rhythm of the chamber. The quiet encourages pause, reflection, and gentle awareness without expectation or demand. Above, night moves slowly over the desert. Stars glimmer steadily. The wind drifts across the dunes, shaping delicate patterns in the sand that vanish almost immediately. The Nile continues its quiet flow, reflecting moonlight in gentle streaks. The world above remains serene, unaware of the hidden chambers deep below. Inside the chamber, the hollow rests quietly. The faint lines on the walls remain soft and undisturbed. The polished floor, the enclosing stone, and the still air merge into one gentle, patient presence. Time stretches softly, inviting reflection, attention, and slow, quiet breathing. At the far end, a subtle passage begins. Low, narrow, and nearly hidden in shadow, it continues the descent. The slope carries forward gently, deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft and patient, welcoming slow, careful movement. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its hollow, delicate lines, polished floor, and still air remain untouched. The calm is preserved. Silence deepens further. And ahead, the passage leads onward, folding into deeper stone, where quiet persists unbroken, where stillness is not empty, but present, patient, eternal, and gentle.
The passage continues its quiet descent, curving gently as it guides forward. The slope is soft, almost imperceptible, yet steady. Each step is slow, deliberate, absorbed fully by the calm of the surrounding stone. The air here is cooler still, carrying a subtle weight that settles gently around the body, encouraging deep, slow breaths, softening the mind and quieting thought. There is no urgency. The corridor moves patiently, inviting the traveler to move in rhythm with its gentle slope. The walls are smooth, yet faint textures appear upon careful observation. Tiny ridges, shallow grooves, and subtle hollows trace the stone like whispers pressed into time. They do not convey meaning, form symbols, or tell stories. They exist quietly as gentle reminders of centuries resting within the stone. Each curve and indentation encourages careful attention, inviting the senses to notice the slow passage of time and the soft shaping of the space. As the passage bends further, it begins to widen slightly. The ceiling rises just enough to allow movement without losing intimacy. The air becomes softer still, carrying a subtle calm that wraps around the body and encourages slower, deeper breathing. The silence is complete, yet warm and comforting, steady and patient. After a careful walk,
The corridor opens into a small chamber. The walls curve gently inward, and the ceiling remains low, creating a cozy, enclosed space. The polished stone floor stretches smooth and unbroken, empty in the center. There is no platform, basin, or figure. The room exists purely in stillness, holding its quiet weight in every corner. Along one wall, a subtle alcove appears. Shallow and rounded, it is carved carefully into the stone, blending almost entirely with the surrounding surface. Though empty, it feels intentional, as if it once held something small and meaningful. Its edges are softened by time, encouraging gentle observation and reflection. The alcove invites presence without demand, a space where the eye can rest and the mind can pause. The surrounding walls bear faint, delicate lines. They are thin impressions, some curved, some straight, some isolated, stretching across the stone in gentle rhythms. They do not form patterns, symbols, or directions. They exist quietly, companions to the alcove, echoes of patience pressed into the stone. The air is dense with stillness, but not oppressive. Each breath draws calm deeper into the body, slowing movement, quieting thought. Steps are absorbed into the gentle rhythm of the space, blending seamlessly with the stillness of the chamber. The quiet encourages pause and observation, allowing presence without expectation. Above, the desert night remains undisturbed. Stars drift softly across the sky, shedding faint light. The wind shifts sand in slow, delicate waves. The Nile flows quietly, reflecting the moon's soft glow. The world above continues its calm cycles, unaware of the hidden chamber below. Within the chamber, the alcove rests undisturbed. The faint lines on the walls shimmer softly in the low light. The polished floor and enclosing stone merge into a single, patient presence. Time stretches gently, allowing slow observation and quiet reflection. At the far end, a subtle passage begins. Low, narrow, and hidden in shadow, it slopes forward, leading deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft, welcoming careful, deliberate movement. The chamber behind fades into memory. Its alcove, faint lines, polished floor, and quiet air remain untouched. The calm persists. Silence deepens further. And ahead, the passage continues onward, folding into deeper stone, into spaces where stillness grows profound, where quiet is not absence, but presence, gentle, patient, and eternal. The passage continues its gentle slope downward, curving ever so slightly, guiding forward without urgency. Each step is slow, careful, absorbed fully by the surrounding calm. The air here is cooler, heavier with quiet, yet not oppressive. It settles softly around the body, encouraging slow, deep breaths, a gentle awareness of each movement, and a soft attunement to the rhythm of the stone. The corridor feels patient, carrying the traveler without demand or haste. The walls are smooth, but subtle textures reveal themselves to careful observation. Tiny ridges, faint hollows, and delicate indentations trace the surfaces. They are not messages, not symbols, not instructions. They exist as quiet traces of time, of hands long gone, of centuries settling softly into stone. Each small imperfection encourages attentiveness, patience, and presence, inviting each step to be fully absorbed by the stillness of the passage. As the corridor continues, it widens slightly, and the ceiling rises just enough to offer a sense of gentle openness while preserving intimacy. The air grows softer still, carrying calm like a delicate weight that rests around the body. Silence here is complete, yet comforting, steady and patient, filling every corner of the passage with gentle stillness. After a careful walk, the passage opens into a small chamber. Its walls curve gently inward, the ceiling remains low, and the smooth floor stretches unbroken. There is no platform, no basin, no figure, only stone, stillness, and quiet presence. The space feels deliberate, a soft pause, a gentle invitation to exist fully in calm and observation. Along one wall, a subtle niche appears. It is shallow, rounded, and carved carefully into the stone. Though empty, it carries quiet intention, as if it once cradled something small, delicate, and meaningful. Its soft edges encourage slow observation and reflection, a gentle resting place for the eye and mind. The surrounding walls bear faint lines once more, thin, delicate, irregular, some curved, some straight, some isolated. They do not form symbols, patterns, or guidance. They exist quietly, companions to the niche, echoes of patience pressed into the stone, gentle reminders of the calm that inhabits the chamber. Above, the night remains serene. Stars drift slowly across the sky, casting faint, soft light over the desert. The wind moves gently across the dunes, shaping delicate, transient patterns in the sand. The Nile flows steadily, reflecting the pale moonlight. The world above continues undisturbed, unaware of the hidden space beneath. Within the chamber, the niche rests quietly. The faint lines along the walls remain soft and unbroken, and the polished floor maintains its calm. Every element contributes to a patient, gentle presence. Time stretches slowly, inviting quiet reflection, slow breathing, and gentle awareness. At the far end, a narrow passage begins once more. Low, subtle, and hidden in shadow, it slopes forward, deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft, enveloping, inviting careful, unhurried movement. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its niche, delicate lines, polished floor, and still air remain untouched. The calm endures. Silence deepens further. And ahead, the narrow passage continues onward, folding into the depths of the pyramid, where stillness persists, patient, eternal, and gentle. The passage beyond the hidden niche slopes downward once more, soft and steady. Each step is careful, deliberate, absorbed entirely by the calm weight of the surrounding stone. The air here is cooler, carrying a subtle density that settles gently around the body. Breaths lengthen naturally, slow and deep, and the mind softens with the rhythm of the corridor. There is no urgency, no demand, only the quiet, patient guidance of the passage forward. The walls are smooth, but under close observation, faint textures appear. Tiny ridges, shallow hollows, and subtle undulations trace the stone, whispering the passage of time. They are not symbols, messages, or instructions. They exist quietly, reminders of centuries resting within the stone, traces of hands long gone. Each small imperfection encourages slow observation, careful steps, and gentle attention to the surrounding stillness. As the passage continues, it widens slightly. The ceiling lifts gradually, preserving intimacy while allowing for a sense of openness. The air grows even softer, carrying a calm weight that encourages full awareness of each breath, each movement. Silence here is complete, yet warm, steady, and patient, filling the space without intrusion. After a slow walk, the corridor opens into a small chamber. Its walls curve gently inward, and the low ceiling creates an intimate enclosure. The smooth stone floor stretches unbroken. There is nothing in the center, no raised platform, basin, or figure, only the quiet presence of the room itself. The chamber feels like a soft pause, a deliberate moment for the body and mind to rest, observe, and breathe. Along one wall, a gentle hollow becomes visible. Shallow, rounded, carefully carved into the stone, it almost blends seamlessly with the surrounding surface. Though empty, it holds quiet significance, as if it once cradled something small, delicate, and meaningful. Its soft curves invite gentle observation, reflection, and a slow, unhurried presence. The surrounding walls bear faint, delicate lines, thin and irregular, some curved, some straight, some isolated. They stretch across the stone without forming symbols, patterns, or guidance. They exist quietly, companions to the hollow, echoes of patience pressed into stone, reminders of the calm and stillness that inhabit the chamber. The air carries a dense yet soft stillness. Each breath draws calm into the body, slowing movement and quieting thought. Every step merges with the gentle rhythm of the chamber, absorbed completely into the patient presence of stone and shadow. The space encourages pause and reflection without expectation or demand. Above, the desert night continues, serene and unchanged. Stars drift slowly across the sky, shedding faint light over the dunes. The wind moves softly across the sand, shaping delicate patterns that vanish almost immediately. The Nile flows steadily, reflecting the moonlight with gentle continuity. The world above remains unaware of the hidden chamber below. Within the chamber, the hollow rests quietly. The faint lines along the walls remain soft and undisturbed, and the polished floor holds its calm. Every element contributes to a patient, gentle presence. Time stretches slowly, inviting quiet reflection, deep breathing, and awareness. At the far end, a subtle passage begins. Low, narrow, and hidden in shadow, it slopes forward, deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft and welcoming, inviting careful, unhurried movement. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its hollow, delicate lines, polished floor, and still air remain preserved. The calm endures. Silence deepens further. And ahead, the narrow passage continues onward, folding into the depths of the pyramid, where stillness persists unbroken, patient, eternal, and gentle. The narrow passage continues, descending gently with a subtle curve that guides each step softly forward. The slope is almost imperceptible, yet steady, inviting slow, careful movement. The air here is cooler, carrying a gentle weight that settles around the body, encouraging long, quiet breaths and a softening of thought. There is no urgency, no pull to hurry. The passage itself moves with a patient rhythm, allowing every step to unfold naturally. The walls are smooth, but under careful observation, faint textures appear. Tiny ridges, shallow indentations, and delicate undulations trace the stone, subtle reminders of time passing.
They are not symbols, messages, or instructions. They exist quietly, traces of hands long gone or centuries settling softly into the stone. Each curve and hollow invites slow observation, soft attention, and a deliberate pace. As the passage continues, it widens slightly, offering a gentle sense of openness. The ceiling lifts gradually, maintaining intimacy while providing room to move comfortably. The air grows even quieter, softening each breath and carrying a calm presence throughout the space. Silence is complete here, yet comforting, patient, and steady, filling the corridor without pressure or intrusion. After a careful, measured walk, the corridor opens into a small chamber. Its walls curve gently inward, the ceiling low but balanced, creating a sense of enclosure that is intimate yet not confining. The smooth stone floor stretches unbroken. There is no central object, no basin, no platform, no figure, only the still, quiet presence of the room itself. It feels like a soft, deliberate pause, a space for slow observation, for breath, for quiet attention. Along one wall, a shallow hollow rests, rounded and subtly carved into the stone. It almost blends seamlessly with the surrounding wall. Though empty, it feels intentional, as though it once held something small, delicate, and meaningful. The hollow invites gentle observation, slow breathing, and a calm awareness of presence. Its soft curves encourage attention without demand. The surrounding walls bear faint, delicate lines, thin, irregular, some curved, some straight, some isolated. They stretch across the stone without forming patterns or symbols. They exist quietly, companions to the hollow, subtle traces pressed into stone, echoes of calm and patience that have lingered for centuries. The air is dense with stillness, but soft and full. Each breath draws calm deeper into the body, slowing movement and quieting thought. Every step blends with the gentle rhythm of the chamber, absorbed fully into the quiet presence of stone and shadow. The space encourages pause, reflection, and mindful awareness without expectation. Outside, night continues over the desert. Stars move slowly across the sky, shedding faint, soft light. The wind drifts over the dunes, shaping delicate, transient patterns. The Nile flows quietly, reflecting moonlight in gentle streaks. The world above remains serene, unaware of the hidden chamber below. Inside the chamber, the hollow rests quietly. The faint lines on the walls remain soft and undisturbed, and the polished floor holds its calm. Every element contributes to a patient, gentle presence. Time stretches slowly, allowing observation, reflection, and gentle breathing. At the far end, a low, narrow passage begins. Hidden in shadow, it slopes forward, leading deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft and inviting, carrying the same calm, patient presence that has defined every space so far. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its hollow, faint lines, polished floor, and still air remain undisturbed. Silence deepens further. And ahead, the passage continues onward, folding into deeper stone, where stillness persists unbroken, patient, eternal, and gentle. The passage continues its soft downward slope, curving gently as it carries forward. Each step is slow and careful, absorbed fully by the calm weight of the surrounding stone. The air is cooler here, carrying a subtle density that rests lightly around the body. Breaths lengthen naturally, deepening with each inhale, and the mind softens into the rhythm of the corridor. There is no hurry, no pull to move faster. The passage itself moves patiently, allowing every step to unfold in quiet time. The walls are smooth, yet under close observation, faint textures appear. Tiny ridges, shallow hollows, and delicate indentations trace the surfaces of the stone. They are not symbols or instructions, but quiet marks of time, remnants of hands long gone, or centuries settling softly into stone. Each curve and indentation invites gentle observation, patience, and a mindful pace, drawing attention to the subtle presence of history in the stone. As the corridor continues, it widens slightly. The ceiling rises gradually, offering a gentle sense of openness while maintaining the intimacy of the enclosed space. The air grows even softer, carrying calm that seems to settle into the body and mind, soothing with each breath. Silence here is complete, yet comforting, steady and patient, filling the space without pressure. After a slow, measured walk, the passage opens into a small chamber. The walls curve softly inward, and the low ceiling creates a feeling of gentle enclosure. The smooth stone floor stretches unbroken. There is no central object, no basin, no platform, no figure, only the quiet presence of the chamber itself. It feels like a deliberate pause, a space for observation, for breath, for quiet attention. Along one wall, a shallow recess is visible. Rounded, carefully carved, it blends almost seamlessly with the surrounding stone. Though empty, it feels intentional, as if it once held something small, delicate, and significant. Its gentle curves encourage slow observation, calm reflection, and a quiet presence. The surrounding walls carry faint, delicate lines, thin and irregular, some curved, some straight, some isolated. They stretch softly across the stone. They do not form patterns or symbols, nor do they guide the eye. They exist quietly, companions to the recess, echoes of patience pressed into stone, subtle reminders of the calm that inhabits the chamber. The air carries a soft, dense stillness. Every breath draws calm deeper into the body, slowing movement and quieting thought. Each step merges with the gentle rhythm of the chamber, absorbed fully into the presence of stone and shadow. The space encourages pause, reflection, and mindful awareness without expectation or demand. Outside, night continues over the desert. Stars drift slowly across the sky, shedding faint, soft light. The wind brushes gently over the dunes, shaping delicate, transient patterns in the sand. The Nile flows quietly, reflecting the moon's gentle glow. The world above remains serene, unaware of the hidden chamber below. Within the chamber, the recess rests quietly. The faint lines along the walls remain soft and undisturbed. The polished floor and enclosing stone merge into a single patient presence. Time stretches softly, inviting observation, reflection, and gentle breathing. At the far end, a narrow passage begins. Low, hidden in shadow, it slopes forward, deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft, welcoming careful, unhurried movement. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its recess, delicate lines, polished floor, and still air remain undisturbed. The calm persists. Silence deepens further. And ahead, the passage continues onward, folding into the depths of the pyramid, where stillness endures unbroken, patient, eternal, and gentle.
The passage beyond the secret recess continues its gentle descent, curving quietly as it guides each step forward. The slope is soft, almost imperceptible, yet steady. Each movement is slow and deliberate, absorbed fully by the calm presence of the surrounding stone. The air here is cool, carrying a subtle weight that rests lightly on the skin, encouraging long, gentle breaths and a quieting of thought. There is no hurry, no expectation, only the patient rhythm of the corridor, guiding movement with softness. The walls are smooth, yet subtle textures appear when observed carefully. Tiny ridges, shallow hollows, and faint undulations trace the stone, whispering of centuries past. They are not symbols, instructions, or messages. They exist quietly, gentle marks of time, echoes of hands long gone. Each imperfection invites careful observation, slow awareness, and deliberate, unhurried movement. As the corridor extends, it widens slightly. The ceiling rises gradually, maintaining intimacy while allowing for a gentle sense of openness. The air grows softer still, carrying a calm presence that settles into every breath. Silence here is complete, yet comforting, patient and steady, filling the passage without intrusion. After a measured walk, the corridor opens into a small chamber. The walls curve softly inward, the ceiling low but balanced, creating a cozy, enclosed space. The smooth stone floor stretches unbroken. There is no platform, basin, or figure, only the quiet presence of the room itself. It feels like a soft, deliberate pause, a moment to rest, observe, and breathe slowly. Along one wall, a shallow alcove rests, rounded and carefully carved into the stone. It blends almost seamlessly with its surroundings. Though empty, it feels intentional, as if it once held something delicate and meaningful. The soft edges invite observation and reflection, encouraging the eye and mind to rest gently, without demand. The surrounding walls carry faint lines, thin and irregular. Some curve, some stretch straight, some are isolated, forming no patterns or symbols. They exist quietly, companions to the alcove, subtle reminders of patience and calm pressed into stone. Their presence is soft, almost imperceptible, yet they carry the gentle weight of time. The air within the chamber is dense with stillness, soft and full. Each breath draws calm deeper into the body, slowing movement, quieting thought. Every step merges with the rhythm of the chamber, absorbed fully by the patient presence of stone and shadow. The space encourages pause, reflection, and gentle awareness without expectation. Above, the desert night stretches silently. Stars drift slowly across the sky, casting faint light over the dunes. The wind moves softly, shaping delicate, transient patterns in the sand. The Nile flows quietly, reflecting the moonlight in calm, steady ripples. The world above remains serene, unaware of the hidden spaces beneath. Within the chamber, the alcove rests quietly. The faint lines on the walls remain soft, delicate, and undisturbed. The polished floor and enclosing stone merge into one patient, gentle presence. Time stretches softly, inviting observation, quiet reflection, and gentle breathing. At the far end, a low, narrow passage begins. Hidden in shadow, it slopes forward, deeper into the heart of the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft and patient, inviting slow, careful movement. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its alcove, delicate lines, polished floor, and still air remain untouched. The calm persists. Silence deepens further.
and ahead the passage continues onward, folding into deeper stone where quiet endures, patient, eternal, and gentle.
The passage continues its slow, steady descent, curving quietly as it guides each step forward. The slope is gentle, almost imperceptible, yet consistent. Every movement is careful and deliberate, absorbed fully by the calm presence of the surrounding stone. The air is cooler here, carrying a soft, weightless calm that settles gently on the skin. Breaths lengthen naturally, slow and deep, and the mind softens into the quiet rhythm of the corridor. There is no urgency, no expectation, only the patient, subtle pull of the passage forward. The walls are smooth, yet faint textures emerge under close observation. Tiny ridges, shallow hollows, and subtle undulations trace the stone, quiet reminders of centuries past. They are not symbols or messages, nor do they instruct. They exist simply, gentle traces of hands long gone, traces of time resting softly within the stone. Each imperfection encourages careful observation, slow awareness, and deliberate, unhurried movement. As the corridor stretches onward, it widens slightly, and the ceiling rises gradually. The increase in space offers a subtle sense of openness while retaining the intimacy of the enclosed passage. The air grows softer still, carrying calm and stillness that settles into every breath. Silence here is complete, yet comforting, patient and steady, filling the corridor without demand or intrusion. After a careful, measured walk, the corridor opens into a small chamber. The walls curve gently inward, and the low ceiling creates a sense of cozy enclosure. The polished stone floor stretches smooth and unbroken. There is no central object, no raised platform, no basin, no figure, only the quiet, steady presence of the chamber itself. It feels like a deliberate pause, a gentle invitation to rest, observe, and breathe slowly. Along one wall, a subtle recess is visible. Shallow and rounded, it is carved carefully into the stone, blending almost seamlessly with the surrounding surface. Though empty, it holds quiet intention, as if it once cradled something delicate and meaningful. Its soft curves encourage slow observation, calm reflection, and a gentle presence of mind. The surrounding walls bear faint, delicate lines, thin and irregular, some curved, some straight, some isolated. They stretch across the stone without forming patterns, symbols, or instructions. They exist quietly, companions to the recess, echoes of patience pressed into stone, subtle reminders of the calm and stillness that inhabit the chamber. The air is dense with stillness, yet soft and full. Every breath draws calm deeper into the body, slowing movement and quieting thought. Each step blends with the gentle rhythm of the chamber, absorbed fully by the patient presence of stone and shadow. The space encourages pause, reflection, and quiet awareness, without expectation. Above, the desert night stretches undisturbed. Stars drift slowly across the sky, shedding faint, gentle light. The wind moves softly over the dunes, shaping delicate, fleeting patterns in the sand. The Nile flows steadily, reflecting the moonlight in soft, quiet ripples. The world above remains calm, unaware of the hidden chamber below. Within the chamber, the recess rests quietly. The faint lines on the walls remain soft, delicate, and undisturbed. The polished floor and enclosing stone merge into a single, gentle presence. Time stretches slowly, inviting observation, reflection, and quiet breathing. At the far end, a narrow, low passage begins. Hidden in shadow, it slopes forward, deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft and welcoming, inviting careful, unhurried movement. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its recess, delicate lines, polished floor, and still air remain untouched. Calm persists. Silence deepens further. And ahead, the passage continues onward, folding into deeper stone, where stillness endures, unbroken, patient, eternal, and gentle.
The passage continues its gentle, steady slope downward, curving softly as it carries each step forward. The movement is slow, deliberate, absorbed fully by the quiet presence of the surrounding stone. The air here is cooler, carrying a soft, weightless calm that settles lightly on the skin. Breaths lengthen naturally, deepening with each inhale, and the mind softens, following the rhythm of the corridor. There is no rush, no expectation, only the patient guidance of the passage, moving quietly forward. The walls are smooth, yet subtle textures appear under careful observation. Tiny ridges, faint hollows, and soft undulations trace the stone, gentle reminders of time and of hands long gone. They are not symbols, messages, or instructions. They exist simply, quietly, traces of centuries resting softly in the stone. Each small imperfection invites careful attention, slow awareness, and a deliberate, unhurried pace. As the passage extends, it widens slightly. The ceiling lifts gradually, preserving intimacy while creating a subtle sense of openness. The air grows softer still, carrying calm that settles into every breath. Silence here is complete, yet comforting, steady and patient, filling the corridor without demand or intrusion. After a careful walk, the passage opens into a small chamber. Its walls curve gently inward, and the low ceiling creates a feeling of gentle enclosure. The smooth, polished stone floor stretches unbroken. There is nothing in the center, no platform, basin, or figure, only the quiet presence of the chamber itself. It feels like a deliberate pause, a soft moment to observe, to breathe, to exist fully in calm stillness. Along one wall, a shallow hollow rests. Rounded and subtly carved into the stone, it blends almost seamlessly with the surrounding wall. Though empty, it feels intentional, as if it once cradled something delicate, meaningful, and quiet. Its gentle curves invite slow observation, reflection, and a mindful, patient presence. The surrounding walls bear faint, delicate lines, thin and irregular, some curved, some straight, some isolated. They stretch softly across the stone, without forming patterns or symbols. They exist quietly, companions to the hollow, echoes of patience pressed into stone, subtle reminders of the calm and stillness that inhabit the chamber. The air is dense with quiet, yet soft and full. Every breath draws calm deeper into the body, slowing movement, quieting thought. Each step blends with the gentle rhythm of the chamber, absorbed fully into the presence of stone and shadow. The space encourages pause, reflection, and gentle awareness without expectation or demand. Outside, the desert night remains serene. Stars drift slowly across the sky, shedding faint, soft light over the dunes. The wind moves gently, shaping delicate, fleeting patterns in the sand.
The Nile flows quietly, reflecting the moonlight with calm, steady ripples. The world above continues its cycles undisturbed, unaware of the hidden chamber below. Inside the chamber, the hollow rests quietly. The faint lines on the walls remain soft, delicate, and undisturbed. The polished floor and enclosing stone merge into one gentle, patient presence. Time stretches softly, inviting observation, quiet reflection, and gentle breathing. At the far end, a narrow passage begins once more. Low, hidden in shadow, it slopes forward, deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft, patient, and inviting, welcoming slow, careful movement. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its hollow, faint lines, polished floor, and still air remain untouched. Calm endures. Silence deepens further. And ahead, the passage continues onward, folding into deeper stone, where stillness persists, patient. The passage continues its slow, gentle descent, curving softly as it guides each careful step forward. The slope is smooth and steady, inviting deliberate, unhurried movement. The air here is cooler, carrying a faint weight that rests lightly on the skin, settling softly into the body and mind. Breaths lengthen naturally, deep and calm, and thought slows, following the quiet rhythm of the corridor. There is no rush, no expectation, only the patient pull of the passage forward, steady and soft. The walls are smooth, yet subtle textures emerge under careful observation. Tiny ridges, shallow hollows, and faint undulations trace the stone, quiet reminders of centuries past. They are not symbols or instructions, nor do they guide. They exist simply, gently, echoes of hands long gone and of time settling softly into stone. Each small irregularity invites slow attention, mindfulness, and deliberate steps, encouraging awareness of presence in the stillness. As the corridor stretches onward, it widens slightly, and the ceiling rises gradually. The increased space allows for a gentle sense of openness while maintaining intimacy. The air grows softer, carrying calm that seeps into every breath. Silence here is complete, yet comforting, steady and patient, filling the corridor without pressure or intrusion. After a careful, measured walk, the passage opens into a small chamber. The walls curve gently inward, and the low ceiling creates a cozy and closed feeling. The polished stone floor stretches smooth and unbroken. There is no object, no platform, no basin, no figure, only the quiet presence of the room itself. It feels like a soft, deliberate pause, a gentle invitation to rest, observe, and breathe slowly. Along one wall, a shallow niche appears. Rounded and subtly carved into the stone, it blends almost seamlessly with its surroundings. Though empty, it feels intentional, as if it once held something small, delicate, and meaningful. Its soft curves invite quiet observation, gentle reflection, and calm presence. The surrounding walls carry faint, delicate lines, thin, irregular, some curved, some straight, some isolated. They stretch softly across the stone without forming patterns or symbols. They exist quietly, companions to the niche, gentle traces of patience pressed into stone, subtle reminders of the stillness and calm inhabiting the chamber. The air is dense with quiet, yet soft and full. Each breath draws calm deeper into the body, slowing movement, quieting thought. Every step merges with the gentle rhythm of the chamber, absorbed fully into the patient presence of stone and shadow. The space encourages pause, reflection, and gentle awareness without expectation. Above, the desert night continues. Stars drift slowly across the sky, shedding faint, soft light. The wind moves gently over the dunes, shaping fleeting, delicate patterns in the sand. The Nile flows quietly, reflecting the moon's calm glow. The world above remains serene, unaware of the hidden chamber below. Within the chamber, the niche rests quietly. The faint lines along the walls remain soft and undisturbed. The polished floor and enclosing stone merge into a single patient presence. Time stretches slowly, inviting observation, reflection, and gentle breathing. At the far end, a low, narrow passage begins. Hidden in shadow, it slopes forward, deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft, patient, and inviting, welcoming slow, careful movement. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its niche, delicate lines, polished floor, and still air remain untouched. Calm persists. Silence deepens further. And ahead, the passage continues onward, folding into deeper stone, where stillness endures unbroken, patient, eternal, and gentle.
The passage continues its gentle slope downward, curving softly as it guides each step forward. The slope is subtle, smooth, and steady, inviting slow, deliberate movement. The air here is cooler, carrying a gentle weight that rests lightly on the skin and settles softly into the body and mind. Breaths lengthen naturally, calm and full, and thought softens following the rhythm of the corridor. There is no rush, no expectation, only the patient guidance of the passage, moving quietly, steadily, forward. The walls are smooth, yet faint textures appear under careful observation. Tiny ridges, shallow hollows, and subtle undulations trace the stone, gentle reminders of time passing. They are not symbols or instructions, nor do they guide the traveler. They exist simply, quietly, traces of hands long gone, echoes of centuries settling softly into the stone. Each small imperfection invites gentle attention, mindfulness, and deliberate steps, encouraging awareness of presence within the stillness. As the corridor extends, it widens slightly, and the ceiling lifts gradually. The additional space provides a subtle sense of openness while maintaining the intimacy of the passage. The air grows softer still, carrying calm that seeps into every breath. Silence here is complete, yet comforting, steady and patient, filling the corridor without pressure or intrusion. After a measured walk, the corridor opens to a small chamber. Its walls curve gently inward, and the low ceiling creates a cozy, enclosed feeling. The polished stone floor stretches smooth and unbroken. There is no object, no platform, no basin, no figure, only the quiet, patient presence of the room itself. It feels like a deliberate pause, a soft space for rest, observation, and slow, mindful breathing. Along one wall, a shallow alcove rests. Rounded and carefully carved into the stone, it blends almost seamlessly with the surrounding wall. Though empty, it feels intentional, as if it once held something small, delicate, and meaningful. Its gentle curves invite slow observation, quiet reflection,
and calm presence. The surrounding walls bear faint, delicate lines, thin and irregular, some curved, some straight, some isolated. They stretch softly across the stone without forming patterns or symbols. They exist quietly, companions to the alcove, subtle echoes of patience pressed into stone, gentle reminders of stillness and calm. The air is dense with quiet, yet soft and full. Every breath draws calm deeper into the body, slowing movement and quieting thought. Each step blends seamlessly with the gentle rhythm of the chamber, absorbed fully into the patient presence of stone and shadow. The space encourages pause, reflection, and gentle awareness without expectation. Above, the desert night continues quietly. Stars drift slowly across the sky, casting faint, soft light. The wind moves gently over the dunes, shaping delicate, transient patterns in the sand. The Nile flows quietly, reflecting the moon's gentle glow. The world above remains serene, unaware of the hidden chamber below. Within the chamber, the alcove rests quietly. The faint lines on the walls remain soft and undisturbed. The polished floor and enclosing stone merge into a single gentle presence. Time stretches softly, inviting observation, reflection, and slow, calm breathing. At the far end, a narrow, low passage begins. Hidden in shadow, it slopes forward, deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft, patient, and welcoming, inviting careful, unhurried movement. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its alcove, delicate lines, polished floor, and still air remain untouched. Calm endures. Silence deepens further. And ahead, the passage continues onward, folding into deeper stone, where stillness persists unbroken, patient, eternal, and gentle.
The passage continues its soft, steady slope, curving quietly as it guides each step forward. The descent is gradual, smooth, and deliberate, inviting slow, careful movement. The air here is cooler, carrying a faint, weightless calm that settles gently around the body. Breaths lengthen naturally, deep and full, and the mind softens, attuning to the rhythm of the stone corridor. There is no hurry, no demand, only the patient pull of the passage forward, steady and soft. The walls are smooth, yet under careful observation, faint textures emerge. Tiny ridges, shallow hollows, and subtle indentations trace the stone, gentle reminders of centuries long past. They are not symbols or instructions, nor do they offer guidance. They exist quietly, traces of hands long gone, marks of time pressed softly into the stone. Each small imperfection invites careful observation, slow awareness, and deliberate, unhurried steps, encouraging a mindful presence within the stillness. As the corridor stretches onward, it widens slightly, and the ceiling rises gradually. The additional space provides a subtle sense of openness while maintaining the intimate feel of the passage. The air grows softer still, carrying calm that seeps into every breath. Silence here is complete, yet comforting, steady and patient, filling the corridor without intrusion. After a measured walk, the passage opens into a small chamber. Its walls curve gently inward, and the low ceiling creates a cozy, enclosed space. The polished stone floor stretches smooth and unbroken. There is no platform, basin, or figure, only the quiet, patient presence of the room itself. It feels like a deliberate pause, a soft moment for observation,
breath and calm awareness. Along one wall, a shallow recess rests. Rounded and subtly carved into the stone, it blends almost seamlessly with the surrounding surface. Though empty, it feels intentional, as if it once held something delicate and meaningful. Its gentle curves invite slow observation, quiet reflection, and calm presence. The surrounding walls bear faint, delicate lines, thin and irregular, some curved, some straight, some isolated. They stretch softly across the stone without forming symbols or patterns. They exist quietly, companions to the recess, gentle echoes of patience pressed into stone, reminders of the stillness and calm inhabiting the chamber. The air is dense with quiet, yet soft and full. Each breath draws calm deeper into the body, slowing movement and quieting thought. Each step merges with the gentle rhythm of the chamber, absorbed fully into the patient presence of stone and shadow. The space encourages pause, reflection, and gentle awareness without expectation. Above, the desert night remains serene. Stars drift slowly across the sky, casting faint, soft light. The wind moves gently over the dunes, casting delicate, transient patterns in the sand. The Nile flows quietly, reflecting the pale moonlight. The world above continues peacefully, unaware of the hidden chamber below. Within the chamber, the recess rests quietly. The faint lines on the walls remain soft and undisturbed. The polished floor and enclosing stone merge into a single, gentle presence. Time stretches softly, inviting observation, reflection, and deep, slow breathing. At the far end, a low, narrow passage begins. Hidden in shadow, it slopes forward, deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft, welcoming careful, unhurried movement. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its recess, delicate lines, polished floor, and still air remain untouched. Calm persists, silence deepens further. And ahead, the passage continues onward, folding into deeper stone, where stillness endures, patient, eternal, and gentle. The passage continues its soft, slow descent, curving quietly as it guides each careful step forward. The slope is subtle, smooth, and deliberate, inviting slow, measured movement. The air here is cooler, carrying a gentle weight that rests lightly on the skin and seeps softly into the body and mind. Breaths lengthen naturally, deep and calm, and thought softens, following the patient rhythm of the corridor. There is no urgency, no expectation, only the quiet guidance of the passage forward, steady and gentle. The walls are smooth, yet faint textures appear under careful observation. Tiny ridges, shallow hollows, and delicate undulations trace the stone, quiet reminders of centuries past. They are not symbols or instructions, nor do they guide. They exist simply, quietly, traces of hands long gone, echoes of time resting softly in the stone. Each small irregularity invites slow awareness, careful observation, and deliberate, unhurried steps, encouraging a mindful presence within the stillness. As the corridor stretches onward, it widens slightly, and the ceiling rises gradually. The increased space provides a subtle sense of openness while maintaining intimacy. The air grows softer still, carrying calm that settles into every breath. Silence here is complete, yet comforting, steady and patient, filling the corridor without intrusion. After a careful, measured walk, the passage opens into a small chamber. Its walls curve gently inward, and the low ceiling creates a cozy, enclosed space. The polished stone floor stretches smooth and unbroken. There is no object, platform, basin, or figure, only the quiet, patient presence of the room itself. It feels like a soft, deliberate pause, a moment to rest, observe, and breathe slowly. Along one wall, a shallow niche rests. Rounded and subtly carved into the stone, it blends almost seamlessly with the surrounding wall. Though empty, it feels intentional, as if it once held something small, delicate, and meaningful. Its soft curves invite quiet observation, gentle reflection, and calm presence. The surrounding walls bear faint, delicate lines, thin and irregular, some curved, some straight, some isolated. They stretch softly across the stone without forming patterns or symbols. They exist quietly, companions to the niche, subtle echoes of patience pressed into stone, gentle reminders of stillness and calm. The air is dense with quiet, yet soft and full. Each breath draws calm deeper into the body, slowing movement and quieting thought. Every step blends with the gentle rhythm of the chamber, absorbed fully into the patient presence of stone and shadow. The space encourages pause, reflection, and mindful awareness without expectation. Above, the desert night continues peacefully. Stars drift slowly across the sky, casting faint, soft light. The wind moves gently over the dunes, shaping delicate, transient patterns in the sand. The Nile flows quietly, reflecting the pale glow of the moon. The world above remains serene, unaware of the hidden chamber below. Within the chamber, the niche rests quietly. The faint lines on the walls remain soft and undisturbed. The polished floor and enclosing stone merge into a single, gentle presence. Time stretches softly, inviting observation, reflection, and deep, calm breathing. At the far end, a low, narrow passage begins once more. Hidden in shadow, it slopes forward, deeper into the pyramid. The darkness ahead is soft, patient, and welcoming, inviting careful, unhurried movement. The chamber behind fades gently into memory. Its niche, delicate lines, polished floor, and still air remain untouched. Calm endures, silence deepens further. And ahead, the passage continues onward, folding into deeper stone, where stillness persists unbroken, patient, eternal, and gentle. The passage finally reaches its quietest point. The slope softens almost to flatness, and the stone around feels older, warmer, carrying the weight of countless years in patient silence. The air here is calm, dense yet gentle, filling every breath with softness. Every step slows, almost imperceptibly, as if the stone itself guides movement into stillness. The walls, smooth and worn, bear only the faintest lines of time, tiny ridges, subtle hollows, delicate textures that have endured without change. There are no objects, no niches, no alcoves, only the quiet presence of stone and shadow. Every surface, every curve, every hollow encourages observation, reflection, and calm attention. The air carries the stillness of deep night. Outside, the desert remains silent under the slow drift of stars. The wind moves softly across the dunes, leaving fleeting patterns in the sand. The Nile flows quietly in the distance, reflecting the soft light of the moon. The world above continues gently, unaware of the hidden corridors below. Yet the calm from below seems to echo upward, softly, into the vast night. The passage ahead narrows gently, becoming a quiet, comforting shadow. There is no rush to move forward, no desire to explore further. The darkness invites rest, a gentle pause, a surrender to calm. Each breath fills the chest with patience, with softness, with quiet. The body and mind settle naturally into the rhythm of stillness. The chambers, the hollows, the faint lines on the walls, all of it fades gently into memory. The stone holds its quiet presence, patient and eternal, unchanged yet comforting. Time stretches softly, endlessly, allowing thought to slow, to dissolve, to rest. And now, in this deepest part of the pyramid, the world narrows to silence, to the gentle pulse of air, to the soft weight of stone. There is no movement, no sound, only the calm and enduring stillness of ages. The darkness and quiet fold around everything like a soft blanket. The body rests, the mind rests. Even thought itself softens, dissolving into gentle calm. And in this final stillness, the story of stone, of hidden passages, of quiet chambers, drifts away. The pyramid breathes slowly, endlessly, peacefully. And so the journey fades into a gentle, eternal calm, where silence endures, patient, serene, and infinitely soft. The story ends here, quietly, softly, like the last whisper of night.